in my last section yesterday. It was section 8. So this week it's going to be our online like full lecture with this section 7. So I'll just, every week I'll have this whole lecture session with one of the group, and the rest of the group will get the recording. So again, this week we will just discuss what we are discussing today. And I'll just share all those kind of things on the course shell. So that would be, this week's recording will be for our next the other two sections, the 8 and 9. And for the next week it would be a session with the section 9 on the Thursday, and then we'll have you will be shared as with a recording with that one. But anyhow, let's start our today's topic. And what I expect from you guys is, first of all, I'll share my screen shortly. I'm gonna share my screen. And what I'm expecting is that you all have that SSMS installed into your machine. And I'll share my screen. Just give me a second. Yeah, can you see my screen? So the SSMS, you remember that we have installed SSMS the other day. And here I have the SSMS 19, but I'm expecting that you all have SSMS 20, like it's 20 version, because the latest one is the 20th one, and you must have this 21. So can I have a quick response on that? That all of you have this SSMS being installed that is starting, and I'll just start that, and then I'll start talking about that a little. So SSMS SQL Server Management Studio that we installed last week. So it's just coming up. Hopefully it'll come up sometime soon. So I'll just show you. But I'm expecting all of you to have this installed into your machines. Am I right? We did that last week, first of all, and then so here is the one which is coming up. So you guys remember that I told you that you get this one and you get a connect. When you connect this, it would basically give you, I'm just showing this home screen. Right. So this is here it is. So again, I'm expecting that all of you have this SSMS installed and working. I don't know if I'm not getting the messages, because sometimes my teams will not give me the messages, or maybe you're not sending the messages at all. Okay, wonderful. Mansi, is it your yes and okay? Yeah. So this is the SSMS that we have, and we started doing some of the practice. I'll start today with a very important concept, that what is this SSMS, because we did not talk about this one, and what actually is the database. So again, remember this SQL Server Management Studio that we have in front of us. It's actually an environment that provides us this area which we can use to interact with our all the databases, through which we can create databases, through which we can update databases, through which we can do a lots of interesting things with the databases. So for every database, almost, you have a management studio and a management system that does this job for you. Now here in SQL Server, first of all, this is the management studio that is doing that for us. And the database that we are using, or the database server that we are using, is SQL Server. Do you see that? In my machine, I have SQL Express, SQL Server 16.0.1000. So it's actually the database that I am using. And SQL Server Management Studio is basically the management studio that will allow me to write queries, that will allow me to interact with the database by using this simplistic, or simple the environment which I will generally use for my one. Now, so today I'm starting my own slides as well. I will be just taking two things, my own slides, and as well as we'll be running few slides from there. I'll share this one as well. So I'm just calling it lecture 2 or week 2. I'll just share that on my that one. So now a demo of SSMS. You guys have already done that demo, but today I would like to just start with that one. Query. Do you remember we talked about query last week? And first of all, if I ask a question after my these lines, I want to ask a question. How many of you were able to look at the recording of the lecture last week? You know, that I shared with you and on the YouTube. How many of you were able to look at that one? Can I have a yes from all of you who have just done that, or no from all of you that who have not done that one? So can I have that quick response from everyone? Okay, Roop, you have seen that. Wonderful. Anyone else? Okay, just for the reminder, I just see yes from Roop. Mansi, you have seen that. Wonderful. Anyone else? Who else was able to see the lecture? Just a quick response or just a quick announcement or just a quick important thing about this, Daniel, thank you, is that, you know, if you will not look at that one, I told you that in most of the quizzes, most of the exams, I will ask questions that you might not find in any of the maybe lecture slide or something, because sometimes we'll be discussing and we'll be discussing some of the you know, important thing during the lecture, and you might don't find that thing in your maybe in the slides or something, and that will really give you an edge over others when we will have we'll be discussing on that one. So just please remember, because I will be asking those questions which I will be discussing, and you, if you don't look at the lectures when I share recording, as I told you, today we are going to have this session with you, so I'll be discussing some of the things that you. Uh, okay, so Ruben, why didn't you ask that to me, create SIS database before to me? You never asked that before to me. You know, it was, if you were not looking at that one, you could always ask me that where is that SIS database, create SIS database. I never got a response from you anyhow, but not a problem. But I'm just letting you know that please have a look at the recording. And that was maybe one of the thing that I just, guess that, okay, if someone has looked at the recording or not. Let's start this lecture slide. There are a few important things to discuss, and then I'll discuss something from our that. So query, what is a query? A query is a statement to interact with database. I have discussed that maybe in the last week, yes, right? A statement to interact with the database. Any action that we want to do on database, we do it through the queries. Now let's start doing that. And this was in way back in 2020, but we can just create database is a command that creates a database. So if I go back, let's start working on that one more time. You know that if you go to these databases in the SQL Server Management Studio, you'll find that there are so many databases. I have so many databases over here. Makes sense? And I've worked on all of them. Now today I'll tell you how to make or how to create your own database first of all. So I just go in the query, and I just, of course, it's connected. If I just go to query, new query, look at that. So new query, and here I use this query, create database, and let's create that either COVID-19, for example. So I'm trying to create a database called COVID-19. Now I select that and I execute that. It says command completed successfully, completion time, whatever. Now it means that I should have a database named COVID in my databases. I won't see them directly. Remember, I'll have to go and refresh that. Refresh the databases, and you will see that I have got COVID-19 into your machines. Can I have a thumbs up from everyone who see a COVID-19 or whatever database? I have a lot of databases over here, by the way. So yes, do you see COVID-19 in your machine? Jamin, thank you. I can see your thumbs up. Anyone else? Yes, Deepinder, thank you. So you have used that. Now, there is a very interesting concept, and I told that last week. Maybe I don't, you guys know or not. Now, if I want to work on this database, there is a very important point. I will have to select this database into this available databases. You want to work on that one? So there is one way is that I'll drop it down and I'll find my database over here. And my database is COVID-19. I click on that and it selects COVID-19. This is one of the way. The other way of that is I'll just put it to master again, just for the reference. I just put it to master or something else again here. Let's put it to master. Master here. So if you want to use a particular database, the command is use and COVID-19. Now, this use COVID-19 will do what? It will just take out database like your COVID-19. Now let's see that. Yes, now let's run that one, execute that. And do you see that when I just run that, it has changed COVID-19, right? So now whatever I will work on, whatever thing I will do, this all will be happening in my COVID-19 database. Is that making sense to everyone? So this is basically just a little play with that one we have, and we'll just work with that one. Now let's talk about attribute types. What kind of data types would you expect in MS SQL to support? So attribute data types. What are the different data types that MS SQL as a database will support for us? Because it's a database, and again, in programming languages, you would have heard that actually we have a lot of data, like data types that we have that we encounter over there. So we are discussing few of the data types or attribute types over here. Now, attribute types, exact numerics, we have big int, numeric, bit, small int, decimal, small money int, tiny int, and money. These are exact numerics over here. There are some approximate numerics. They are floating point and real numbers where there is a dot meaning involved. Then we have date and time. This is very interesting, and we'll just work on this date. A lot of things we have to just discuss about the dates as well, and we'll see that how we can work with the dates, because dates plays an important role. So date time offset, date time two, small date time tiny. So we have all these date times that we will be just working with when we'll work on that one. Now after that, we have binary strings, binary, var binary, image. We have all those type of things that we want to run. And then we have characters. Now I was talking about the date. Let's first of all, let's run few commands side by side and check that. So for example, if I write select and I say get date, right? Get date. What is the date right now, for example? So if I run that, execute that one, you see that it will just give me the current date and time, everything in this format. So it says 2024, May 15, and this is, 117, 1317, 53 seconds and 867. So it has just, it will just give us the date. In the same way, there are all these databases data types that we'll talk about. Character strings, char, varchar, and text, like character, word, variable character. In the same way, there are Unicode character strings as well, and character and var character. These are called Unicode characters. We have got the different number systems that we have, and we will just, see them. So other data types are cursor, row version, hierarchy ID, and this unique identifier and SQL variant. These are all the attributes. Most of them we don't use them, but there are lots of them that we will be using in our program. So numerics, the whole versus decimal, exact versus approximate. Now this is very interesting discussion. We want to see that what are the numeric numbers and what are the whole numbers and what are these. So integers, whole numbers have no concept of decimal points, not closed under normal division. They can be signed or unsigned. So numbers can be both of the signed types and unsigned types. There are bounds on the sizes of these in computer applications. What are decimal? They are also called numeric. Decimal are called numeric in MS SQL, also known as numeric, right? Are able to model numbers with decimal points, are able to model with many numbers exactly. So, if you want to have some number with the decimal points, they would be called as numeric in my MS SQL, the data language that we are talking about. And, we will be able to just manage them. In MS SQL, there are two inputs, precision and scale. What is precision? The total number of digits allowed, and scale, number of digits allowed to the right of the decimal point. So remember, precision on the left side and scale on the right. Number of digits allowed at the right side of the decimal points. So scale will just tell us that what is basically how we want to just go. For example, look at that. Decimal 5,3 can represent 12.345, but not 1.2345. Why? Because we have said decimal and this is 3. So it can be only 3 digits after the dot. After the dot, there can be 3 digits. So why not use exact numbers? Accuracy, things you expect to happen. Basically, we use that, exact numbers, and sometimes we use that points because we want to have the exact data and exact values over there. So the second one, if you look at that, Why use approximate numbers? Can represent, but only approximate. More numbers, more specific, efficient, space efficient, and CPU efficient. When we use approximate numbers, these are CPU efficient. And when we say CPU efficient, we are talking about, the machine, the machine that we are working on. It will more efficiently just, run that one and work on that. And it will be. What are floats are more efficient but less accurate? Floating point arithmetic, you can just look at that one, right? When in double, use exact numerics. A weird example using floats to follow. So we'll just talk about one of the examples shortly. Now look at that over here. Bit versus tiny int versus small int versus int versus big int. So there are lots of them. Why do these have the ranges as they do have? So 1 byte is equal to 8 bits. You guys know about that one? A bit is a 1 or 0. Bits are the fundamental unit of storage for a computer. So they are basically fundamental units of storage, and we need to keep in mind the bits and bytes. So bytes are a common way to measure things because bits are so small. So we usually go in the bytes and kilobytes and megabytes and terabytes and these were. So extra reading for unfamiliar people, ASCII codes. If you want to read about one and zeros, ASCII code, 10001. I think I discussed that in the web as well. It maps to 65. So ASCII, American Standard Code for Information Interchange. If you want some extra information, you can always go to that one. And that would really give you a good sense of some understanding of the some of the concepts. Make sense, everyone? So that is for the binary if someone wants to read that binary. Now explaining storage sizes of ints. This is important. Ints is storage sizes. So look at that, binary numbers obtained by decomposing into power of 2. We actually calculate binary numbers by this. Have you heard about these binary numbers before? First number is 2 raised power 0, which is 1. Second number is 2 raised power 1, which is 2. 2 raised power 2, 3, 4. We just write them in the sequence order and we calculate them like this. If you look at that, every whole number can be uniquely decomposed into powers of any other 2. Just happens to be very convenient. What does that mean? If you look at that 110, what happens is that it will be the 0 will be mapped to 2 raised power 0. 1 will be mapped to 2 raised power 1. 2 will be mapped this 2 will be mapped to 1 will be mapped to 2 raised power 2. So what happens is that it will be 2 into 2, 4, 2 into 1, 2, and then. So you see that in 0, 6 plus 2 is equal to 6. So this is the binary 6. How many of you are familiar with binary number system? Binary number systems. Are you familiar with binary number systems? Anyone? Yes, you guys are familiar. Some of you are familiar. You should give a thumbs up. Wonderful. So these are binary number systems, and now tiny int 1 byte is equal to 8 bits and unassigned. Therefore, range is from 0 to 2 raised power 8 minus 1, 255. So tiny int goes from 0 to 2 raised power 8 minus 1, which is 255. Small int, on the other hand, is of 2 bytes, 16 bits and signed. Therefore, range is, what will be the range of this one? I will leave that. I've left that for you. So 2 bytes, and it's the signed number. Whenever it's a signed number, it will go in the both directions from minus to positive. So you can calculate that how many values are there. You would have seen that. Now here comes the this is very important. What does SQL do with the following examples? This is very interesting. Select 5 upon 2, select 5 upon 2.0. Let's turn by turn run each statement and see what happens. Let's go here and let's turn by turn run each of them. So for example, if I just run first one, I get 2. 5 divided by 2 is 2. Do you guys know what does that mean? Actually, when you divide 5 by 2, it's the quotient that appears like 2. 2 by 2 is 4. Now, what about this one? Look at that. When we have divided it by 2.0, it says 2.5000. The original may be coming up. What will be coming out, in the decimal point. What about this one? So here again, it's giving us a full number, a whole number over here. And how about this one? These look same basically. Here it is just giving the now why it is giving these dots over here? Let's discuss that one. This is what implicit conversion is happening in the second and last example. Second and last are doing implicit conversions. And why they are doing implicit? Do you see that last one also doing the implicit conversion? And the number is automatically being converted over there. And why is happening? Look at that. In the last example, we can also use explicit conversion via cast. So again, here in the second example, because it finds out that there is a there's a 2.0 like in 0, it just do that implicit conversion. And here also it is making implicit conversion because the number range might be going out of that one. So just do the implicit conversion. Now, if it is not happening, we can do the explicit conversion by using the cast method. There is a cast method that we can use. So to help understand how a SQL is implicitly converting things, one can use SQL variant property. Now, we want to see that why it is just doing this for this one and not for that one. So we can just check that one by using the SQL variant property function to help understand byte size. One can use data length, and if we can use that one. So let's see that. And interestingly, let's run these two commands first of all. Let's run these two commands first of all. Let's run this first one, and we select one of them and run that one. So it says SQL variant property of this number, the base type is integer, right? And how about this one? Okay. And close quotation. Oh, yes, this is, it has to be single quote, right? There was a problem in that. Let's run that one now. So it says numeric, and look at that. This one is integer, and this one is numeric. Why not run both together? Look at that, integer and numeric. Now, it is basically a numeric, like integer number. That's why it has done that. And here it was numeric. So you guys understand why it is the implicit expression, implicit conversion? Because this number was of numeric type. So when it was divided by 2, it gave the exact answer with the numeric value. And numeric is the dot value, the decimal value in the C#. Now, so select the where cause evaluates to true, where 0.1. Now let's run this one. It has a where as well. Just let's see that how it goes on. So let's run that. The where clause evaluates to true, where 0.1 plus 0.2 is equal to 0.3. Now, whenever the values are matching over here, it evaluates to true. So if I just come here and if I say 0.0 and just run that one, you see that I'm not getting anything. So select will only appears where the condition is true. Are you guys getting that one? So if condition is true, by means it will just run, and it will show the select thing. Sorry, it will show the select thing. It will run that one, and it just gives it the evaluations to true because the condition is true. Make sense? So these are some of the changing that it is doing. There is also the bit in MS SQL. Bit. What is bit? Sensibly, this data type is meant for storing bits worth of information, can only be 0 or 1. This is the proper data types for representing Boolean states, true or false, on or off, etc. What is the size of bit in MySQL? Surprisingly, data stored in a bit actually takes up 1 byte. So that's very interesting. Bit occupies 1 byte. So bit is the MS SQL thing. It occupies 8 bits. Make sense? So you have to remember that one. That bit in MS SQL is basically equal to 8 bits. So that's a little bit confusing. So I can, you can be asked like, what is a bit size in MS SQL? So you will say that 8 bits is equal to 1 bit. So anyhow, this might be storage efficiency comes when the table has multiple bit types, columns, in which case the rule 8 bits to 1 byte is abided. So for example, if a table consists of a single bit column, each row takes up 1 byte. If a table consists of 8-bit column, each row still takes up only 1 byte. If a table consists of 9 columns, each row now takes up 2 bytes. Why? Because 8 byte, if you go 1 byte above, it will just take 1 complete byte. Make sense, everyone? So if a single bit column is there, 1 byte each. 8-bit column, because 8-bit occupies 1 byte. So only 1 byte. But when it goes to 9, it means that it will go to 9 bits. So this is simply, you have to remember that if there is a 9-bit columns, it will just take 2 bytes of information, right? It will take 2 bytes of information. All right. Now attributes type of strings. This is very interesting. Strings. Strings are char, varchar, text, characters, and Unicode. Unicode is one of the standard way of this defining and character and variable character and text. We'll talk about some of the n things over there. We'll just use that. String. A string in computer programming is just a sequence of characters. Nothing new. You guys have heard that string a lot of time. Not necessarily a word. Can be made up of several words. The quick brown fox is a string. Can be a nonsense, 81BS, etc., etc., something. Order matters. The string AB is different from the string BA. And of course, this is very obvious that a string has to have the proper order. The order really matters. And then the character set determines what characters the string can be composed of, and character encoding determines how they are stored in the computer. ASCII, I talked about ASCII. There are two prevalent encoding families in computer science, ASCII and Unicode. American Standard Code for Information Interchange. If you want to read about that one, you just go to the link and you will just find that out. What is ASCII? Look at that. It says, what is ASCII? ASCII is acronym for American Standard Code for Information Interchange, is a character encoding standard for electronic communication. ASCII code represents the text in computers. And I'll show you its table. And there's a history of that. It has a long history. Now see here. This is the mapping. If you see here, capital A, or A is the first letter in first Latin alphabet. So this is in 1977, 78. It was basically, mentioned over here like this character set. Now, if I show you something as its advanced shape, here it is. Look at that. If I come to, let's say, it's mentioning for the different keystrokes, backslash A is what, backslash B is what, beeping and all those kind of things. Now here comes that one. Look at that. All these characters have special ASCII codes related to them. Look at that, this A. A is 65 in decimal and 10000001 over here, as you guys have known. So this is ASCII mapping. Now let's come back. So ASCII mapping is what? The initial standard where each character could be represented by 7 bits, 128 characters. It was able to represent that one. And then, why 7 bits and not 8 bits? Because they didn't need 8 for the character set they wanted to represent. So there were 7 bits only, that were used in that one. Most things you see on the keyboard, assuming English language, are ASCII compatible characters. Some extensions exist that add to the 128 characters. These need more bits required to represent any character. If there is something that is more than that, it will have that specific. Now, what is Unicode system? Unicode is very interesting. The set consists of set of code points. For example, character set that must be representable by encoding. Designed based on the need to represent all characters in the world that are commonly needing to be used, much more than just 128 ASCII codes. There are lots of languages. Unicode has done what? Unicode has introduced all those languages that are over there. It has gone out of the bound of English, be it, any other Mandarin, be it, Spanish, be it Italian. It would represent all the letters specifically. You know what I mean? So Unicode, that's why you will find mostly languages, they are following the Unicode standard, UTF standards. So look at that. The early vision, a unique, unified, universal encoding. The reality, there are many different encodings that abide by Unicode standard. UTF-8 backward compatible with ASCII 1 to 4 bytes per character. UTF-16 not backwards compatible with ASCII 2 to 4 bytes per character. So 8 is the backward compatible, 16 is not. So you have to just keep in mind that 8 is, UTF-8 is backward compatible, while as the UTF-16 is not. Right? So this is something to remember. Why use UTF-16 or higher? Depending on your language, frequently used characters, it actually reduces the storage size, and it takes to code. In fact, part of UTF-8 coding process is to convert into UTF-16. So we'll be using UTF-16. It is not backward compatible, but it has a lot of strength to accommodate all the languages, all the letters of the languages. It will accommodate all the letters of the language. In my MS SQL, there are two classifications of string types: ordinary character strings, unique character strings, Unicode character. You can tell the difference between the noting that all Unicode character strings start types with the letter N. So whenever it starts with N, N char, and something, it is a Unicode character. And when it is not starting, it is an like ordinary character string. Ordinary string types are meant for ASCII. ASCII strings by default use 1 byte per character, though you can specify encoding these something larger. Unicode string, on the other hand, are meant for Unicode strings These store things in UTF-16. So at minimum, it's a 2 bytes per character, right? So these are few Unicode things. And this is very interesting and important. I would like to remember. Strings, variables versus fixed size strings. This is interesting. SQL Server supports fixed size strings and variable size strings, both. SQL Server like supports both of them. Now fixed size, char like character and character, and so they are fixed size. So look at that. The character n takes in an argument that represents the size of the strings in bytes. And char n takes in an argument that represents the size of a string in byte pairs. It will represent in byte pairs. Better performance than variable length string. Why all these strings are the same size? Why? Because it's a better performance, because you have just defined a string size and the queries and everything will be just taking exactly the same time. If the size of string is inputted is less than the size of column, white space will be added to the end of the string. Padding is done. Variable size. Varchar, variable character length, and variable character length. For strings of variant length, it's better for disk space and likely also performance and using a fixed type. Why? Because it will just occupy much memory which is required for that one. So if you are storing a 8-byte information, only 8 byte will be occupied. In this case, fixed size, if you have defined 100 bytes or 100 gigabytes, whatever, it will be occupied and no one else can use that space. So that's why strings of varying length will have much more variable size is very good. In general, one ASCII character is equal to 1 byte, one unique character is 2 bytes, and 1 byte pair. It's common to think of n as the number of characters in the string, but this is actually not the case. Ordinary character strings support non-ASCII characters that may be greater than 1 byte. Many Unicode characters are 3 to 4 bytes long, 2 byte pairs. So again, this is just related to some of the theoretical aspects. Now here comes some programming as well. Strings, a word of caution about variable size string and data length. Look at that. Varchar and nvarchar stores strings with an extra hidden 2 bytes, which store the size of the string. For example, the string ABC stored as varchar n greater than or equal to 3 takes up 3 plus 2, 5 bytes. You know what does that mean? It will take 3 bytes to store this string and 2 bytes to store the size of the string. The data length function does not return these hidden bytes. So these are hidden bytes, right? The data lot might not return that one. So let's do that. What it returns. Look at that. What it returns. Let's save that one and execute. Oh, there is something wrong. Is that incorrect syntax near this? Is there data length cast ABC? It looks like good. Let's see that. Line 19 is
One
incorrect.
bracket is not closed, sir.
Okay. No, this is the first. This is the second. Third. Okay, right. You're right. Thank you. Okay. So it is returning 3. Why? Because it is not showing us the hidden data, like hidden length, and the hidden length is again like the length of the strings. Let's go back and see. The true size of cast ABC as varchar is 5 bytes. This is the only case I know where the data length does not return the true size of the input. Otherwise, data length will return that one. Now look at that. Okay, some more programming. This is very interesting. Syntax for declaring plus setting variables in SQL Server. How to define and declare variables in SQL Server. And that's a very interesting thing. So what we do, declare at variable type, we just define the variable type, and set at variable type is equal to value. If you want to declare something, you use declare keyword. If you want to set something a value, you will use set value. Implicit conversion allows variables to be set to the value that are not of underlying types of variable. It also allows operations with other types. So again, it will basically implicit type conversion will do what? Variables to set the value that are not of underlying type of variables. It allows operation with other types. Strings in MS SQL can be implicitly converted to most other types. What do you think what will happen with the following codes? Now let's run that one. So now let's see that what this lines of code will do for us. Look at that. Look at that. We have got this one, and let's run this one. Oh, again, it has a that prints out the backticks or something. I'll just take it away and just run that. So you see that what's it as a string varchar 10. We are defining is a string variable with at the rate. We define the variable and we have said varchar and set at a string equal to 1 and we are storing 1 in that one. 1 is a number. Now select as a string plus equal to 1. So now 1 is equal to 1. So if it is true, it will just, generate that one. It will print that with together. So even though we defined is a string as a character, variable character length string, stored 1 into that one. And we said that is a string plus is equal to 1. If it is right, it will just, say that yes, they are equal to 1. Let's come back and see some others. Let's run this one. You can understand how near the real line is to my house. Oh my God. So this train comes and it is okay. There is someone has come on the rail line, looks like. Okay, so let's run that one. Okay, there is a mistake here as well. What is that? Our chart is equal to fail convert. Yeah, so you see that what it is doing, it is not a string. We are saying declare not a string as integer. We have defined that as integer. And now at not string equal to, and we are storing string into that one. Now select non-string is equal to 1. Now basically you see that conversion failed when converting the varchar. So if you look at that, defined string and stored number, it has converted that one. But defined number and stored string, it has not converted that one. That makes sense? In the same way, let's come here. And let's run that one. Look at that. It says 2. Why? Now, it's an integer. And you say that we have stored string into that one. We are storing string. Interesting. So you see that implicit conversion, that int will be converted into 1. Like, it has integer value. And now when I say is int plus 1, it just gives us 2. So it basically is doing what? Implicitly converting the values and then storing them as a number. Do you see that? Because the isn't is an integer being defined. So it is just doing what? Implicitly converting and adding both of them. Isn't that interesting? But yeah, you have to keep in mind that this is basically the type of that. Let's run these commands right now. Look at that. So it says 8. Now, why? Because we have defined isLength as varchar 1 character. Interesting. And I say that set this ABCDEF inside that one and print this one. So you see that it is just taking the first letter. If I just take this away, now it should print what? B. So it just takes the first letter because only one length is required. One length is allowed. So it just takes that one and prints that one. Make sense? Now these are ASCII and different types of things. Let's see that how they run. Now this is ASCII and with the 2 length, we have just defined that one. And what we have done, we have just said that select ASCII is equal to this. We have given some special characters, some other language characters, and select ASCII, and we have just called the data length. Let's see what comes out. So you see that it just, what it selects first of all, it just gives a question mark. It does not print that one, but it said that its length is 1. Why? Because this is an ASCII character, and even though we had these 2, so maybe these 2 have combined together into 1 letter, and it says the data length is basically 1 over here. And it's not recognizing the letter. So that's an interesting one. But now, if you see over here, when we convert that into Unicode, because ASCII does not recognize that, let's come here and see for that one. Now let's run this. You see that letter is coming up over there. Are you guys correct? Why? Because we have defined that Unicode. And is that making sense? So Unicode, it understands the character, and it has, because this N is representing this Unicode and this is the letter. So it just gives the letter and it says that the length is 2. And why it is just length is 2? Because, it would be the size or the letter that is coming up is basically over there. So look at that. These are the basically some of the examples of that one. So just remember, try to remember this string and this one, and we'll just, attribute types for date and time date. So that date and time date, this is very interesting, and we have just seen one date, and we'll see that what are the attributes of that one. Date versus time. So what we do that use date when data only has a year, month, and day component. Use time when the data has only hour and also, when data has hour and these components. Flexible, configurable with how these display SQL Server. We can just make that for the times, the format is usually this one, hour, this one. So date time versus date time 2. Date combines both data with time date. There is a date and a time component to every piece of data. Datetime is legacy SQL Server type. Datetime was legacy one, and now its place in modern version of SQL Server is really one for compatibility. With datetime, what we can do is that basically you can specify the scale of fractional seconds. So datetime to solve all these problems. There was a problem. You can't insert data before this one. So datetime solve this problem. All of the above issues, and now is the standard way to represent a date on time on modern SQL databases. So you remember that datetime 2 is now datetime 2 has solved all the problems that basically datetime offered, right? And now standard is to use datetime. We use this datetime specifically more than others. Now let's come to this one. A fairly common bad practice in SQL Server is to represent date information as string types. We do not represent date information as string types. Why does this happen? Usually done by some unfamiliar with the various date formats. We have date formats we'll talk about, and we'll just look at that. What is spending effort to get it into accepted format? Look at that. Let's see the format, date time formats. These are the date formats. Look at that. You can specify date with all these date formats. You see that April and this is date time 2 that we are talking about. In the transact SQL, the current SQL, we have date time 2, and it has all the formats over here. Usages are there. Date range from starting from this one to this one. Time range is there. So all those are specifically over there. So let's go back over here. So we can just look at that one. Why it is bad? Storage 6 to 8 bytes at date time 2 would be a 21 as a string for something is format. Needs to be explicitly cast into date time, which is not free to get access to date functions, comparisons, etc. So if why it is bad to just use that one, because it will just create which is not free, means again it requires a lot of effort to just convert that one. Date times have useful functions that strings will be used later in the course. Get date if, date part, date add, convert. We'll just talk about these are the strings, and they are very interesting strings that we'll just talk about with the date. Now here comes the conversion that we are talking about. Let's do some examples over here and see what will happen. So we have select is default format, date time. Set is default format is equal to 2020, whatever, we have just set up the date, and select is default format. Let's see what comes out here. So it gives me the date 111 with the 000 values, right? The time is 0 over here. Why not convert that to our current date today? 2024, maybe let's take, this one is the month, right? The second one. And this one is the maybe day, 5. Oh, it's 15 today. So this one means maybe 15. Let's do that. So now see that in and out of memory. Why that? Out of range value. It's out of range. Oh, okay, that's interesting. Date time has a previous range. Let's do that. Okay, just let me check that one. It gives the date. It's going out of the range for 2024. Why? It gives that one. Oh, okay. Okay, right. So maybe this one is the and this might be the date. So I was maybe using the other way around. I don't know. Yeah, so I was using the back format. Okay, so this is date. Now is date I'll just use the is date format. Let's see and see what it represents. Look at that. So let's select that one and execute. Look at that. It just gives the date. There's no time. There's no default the date time. It's just give us the date. We have stored the get date. right now, and it just gives the date. Make sense, everyone? Now, if I use the third one, if I use the third one, and let's go and run there. Okay, so now we have just defined date time and we are taking date two. Look at that. What will happen? Now it is taking the time and everything. Why? Because we have just defined date time two. Are you guys getting that one? Date time two is date time two, which is we are defining this as a date time two. And this date time two, when I take the get date, it will just give me all the date with the time and seconds and microseconds and everything. Right. So these are the three values for the date, and we have just seen them, and we'll just talk about them. Let's continue with this one. Let's practice COVID-19 database now. We'll just practice some of the COVID-19 database. We have done some of the practice before as well. Let's do some of the practice over here. Now let's create a table, and I'll just give you the format over here. We'll just first of all, let's do that. So first of all, make sure that COVID-19 is selected. If it is not selected, of course, where whatever is selected, it will just go and create the folder over there. So first of all, just make sure that COVID-19 is selected. And for that, if you want to be very safe, you can just go and run this command. So it selects that COVID-19. And now if I just come here and I paste that over here. Okay, let's just go on the line. And I would like to just, discuss that one as well. Just, so it has just, we have this create table. So now let's run this command. So it has created table persons. Now I'll go to the COVID-19 and I'll go to the tables. So DBO persons is there. Now, if I just look at the table, I want to look at the table or the design of the table. How is that? This is the design of the table. Maybe, for example, if I want to just go there, I'll just go there and I'll say last name as variable like person ID as integer, and allow nulls, it's allow null. Last name is this one and city is this one. So we have got these values over there. This is the table that we have created, right? So now after creating the table, what we want to do, insert into. Now this is very interesting. When you want to insert into persons, I'll just take this value from here. And I'll paste it over here. See here. Now I'll have to change this this one to this one, single quotes, because that is, it just takes the wrong single quotes. Now, yes. So now what I'll do is I'll just select this and run that one. Look at that. It says that I've run that one. Now, if I want to check, I can just go here and I can say select top 1000 rows. Look at that. It has only one row over here. And since we have not applied any conditioning over here, if I just run this command one more time, interestingly, what would happen is that if I just run this command again, you see that, of course, I'm getting the same data because I have not made any primary key or something over here, right? So we can just do that later on, but I was just telling you that there is no primary key or something over here. So when we want to select something, select static and columns. Last time I just told you that one, but let's do that over here. If I just come in my query again, in my query back, I say select everything from persons. I'm just selecting everything from persons. So if I select everything from persons, execute that. Of course, I have got most of them are with the same data. So what I can do is typically what I can do is that I can insert some more data, maybe some with some different things. John Smith, or maybe it's the second name. Why not? John. So David, something like that. And let's see. XYZ, the city may be, let's say, Kitchener. So if I insert this one, I just select this one and I execute that. Look at that, what I'll get. So now if I just come here and I can run this command, I get all the data over here. right? Select asterisk. Now it is basically select everything from there. But now what I can do, that we can select different columns. I can say select last name from persons. If I select last name from persons and I run this one, look at that. All the last names are appearing. Smith, 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 and David, whatever. Right? So I can just specify which columns I want to select. I can say select last name and, for example, age. Is there a column age? I don't know. Let's see the columns. What are the columns? Last name, address. So I can say address. So last name and address from persons. Just I need 2 columns. Right. So there is a theoretical aspect that might not be mentioned over here. It is a bad practice to use asterisk. I think I discussed that last time as well. Can someone tell me why it is a bad practice to use asterisk in our queries? Why it is a bad practice to use asterisk? Anyone? Yes, I'm waiting for an answer. Someone has answered that? No, I don't see any answers.
Actually, the star loads all the columns, so it takes more time and CPU utilization, memory, and everything. The
Okay,
processing will be slow.
what's your name?
Manisha.
Manisha. Okay, Manisha, thank you. Wonderful. So star or asterisk? Anyone else? Manisha has given an answer. Anyone else? Can anyone else please tell me? Yes, why it is a bad practice to use asterisk? I need some answers, maybe in the chat window. Manisha, you have done a wonderful job. It's very right. Of course, this is the reason, but what can be the problem? Let's put it this way now. I'm not getting any responses from anyone. Is it only Manisha who's listening to my lecture, or else everyone is sleeping? I don't see anything in the chat. Do you see anything in the chat after my question? I don't see anything after Mansi's yes or Mansi's. I need some more answers. Nayan, can you answer why it might be a bad idea? Oh, I'm not hearing anything. Okay, Daniel, do you have any idea what is that? Interesting. If you don't know the answer, you can write IDK in the chat window. Daniel, you want to say something?
No, I was going to say IDK out loud. Sorry.
Okay, right. So just write an IDK in the chat window, Daniel. That's not a problem because that is a proper answer. But if you're not answering, not replying, that's bad. Okay. Yes. All right. So listen, and Manisha, remember that Manisha has just answered that over here. Now listen, asterisk actually brings up all the columns over here and everything, virtually everything. No problem, Mansi. Virtually everything. It's a bad idea to show all the columns to everyone. And why? Because this table might contain, for example, salary information, that might contain from some tax related information, that might contain some personal information, maybe you see like home addresses and everything. So asterisk actually brings up all the columns, and it's never recommended to use asterisk. Reason is that you don't want to show everything to everyone. Rather, it is always recommended that you write just the name of the columns that you want to print over here. Would you guys remember this one? So for saving data, for saving, not showing everything to everyone, we don't use asterisk. Make sense, everyone? This is wonderful. So now So static is not a good idea. Let's go back and see. So it says select distinct city from person. So now you look at that. When I am running, when I just select city from persons, for example, select city from persons. If I run this command, you see Toronto, Toronto, Toronto. It's just giving all the cities. Very good, Kavi. The train has gone so far, and now you are saying I don't know. What you don't know, Kavi? Do you know what you don't know? Can you write what was my question, Kavi? Yes, Kavi. I need what you don't know. Wonderful. I think you don't know what you don't know. This is interesting. You don't know what you don't know. Anyhow, so Kavi, I've just marked this in my notes. I have my notes in front of me, so looks like you are not listening to me. I don't know. Anyhow, so select city. For when I'm selecting the city, actually every city will come up, and in SQL we have a way to select distinct cities. Distinct city from persons. Now look at that. If I run this one, so now you see that it will only give me the distinct cities. Make sense, everyone? This is distinct. So now let's go there. And now we can even use some of the aggregate functions, some of the functions to just do that. So if I want to have how many cities are there, so I can just use a method called count, and I would just do that. Count distinct city from persons and let me know how many number of cities are being used over there. If I just click on that one, I get only 2. Is that making sense to everyone? Is that it is just making 2. So that is select count distinct city from persons, and it will just give me that one. And do you guys remember again, some of you said that there was no SIS database option available over there. Is that right? There was no SIS database on your code shell, or was there? I'll just talk about that one. I'll just give you some practice on SIS database, by the way, in the later on. Where clause. The where clause is used to filter the records. Where is the conditioning? It is used to extract only those records that fulfill a specified condition. So now we are saying select city from persons, but what we can do is that we can specify a specific condition which persons we want to just bring on. So for example, for that, what I'll do is that I'll just put another record over here. Let's put a random record, whatever, Michael Feuer, whatever. And if I just say, YTU, whatever, and then instead of Kitchener, if I say London, I just select that one and I run this one. So I have this record, and then I can have another record. And again, I'm just making some random things now. And if I execute this line again, so I'll have some random records over there. So now we have, if I just select that everything, you will find that I have got some multiple records, very odd categories. But again, we have got that one. So now putting in the condition, select city from persons. So if I want to select city from persons, it will just take out all the cities over here. And again, if I select distinct city from persons, you know that it will just bring out that one. Now, if I say city from the person, where? Now what I say, where person ID equals to, for example, 6. What is the city of that person from person ID is equal to 6? Let's run that one. So person ID is equal to 6. It does not find that one. Let me just see what are the IDs. We'll just check that one. Yeah, so person ID is now 6. So 23, maybe. Yes, right? So let's say 23. If I run that one, so you see that only the person ID which has ID 23 has a city London. Or if I say where city equal to Kitchener. Why not? I want to have those persons whose city is Kitchener. Run that. I'll select the cities. Why not? I say select, for example, last name from persons where city is equal to Kitchener. All those people who city is Kitchener, what is the last name of them? There is only one. And what are the other cities that have that repetitive cities? It is Toronto. Okay, no problem. I'll just come here and I'll just make it Toronto. Toronto. If I select that one, look at that. So these people, like, the last name of Smith, and they have the city as Toronto. Make sense, everyone? So where actually does what? Where applies a particular condition? Where applies a particular condition? Select a specific city, select a specific ID, etc., and you can just do that, those things. Okay, I'll just talk about the logical ending and ORing. So logical ending and ORing, there is a logical ending and ORing combination over here. For example, I would say where city is equal to Toronto and write and. For example, I would say and I would say that ID is equal, like person ID equal to 2, for example, let's say. Oh, and I'm using the wrong hand. Is it? Oh, in the queries we write and typically. I was using the language syntax. Now let's run that one. So person is equal to and city is equal to Toronto. I think there is no one like with this one. Let's check that one. Yes, so there is no one with ID 2 because all of them are ID. So if I say city is equal to Toronto and ID is equal to 1, who is that? Select just the last name, and all those Smiths will appear. But let's see that what else we can just do that. So we have got, for example, we say that person ID. So I can just say that person ID greater than, for example, 20, and city is equal to not Toronto. If I say London, for example, and why not I say 200, for example. So where person ID is greater than 200, and then this one, if I just click on that, you see that the last name appears of that only person. Now this is ending, but if I do OR, I hope you guys know about AND and OR, of course. Am I right? You guys know about ending and ORing logic. So I've combined two conditions over here. Now if you see that, if someone has a city London or ID greater than 200, all of them will be selected over here. Is that making sense to everyone? I'm hoping that everyone is understanding this, right? That we'll have city above that one. Okay, then we have update, which I'm not doing, right now. I'll just take it away from that one. And no practice questions are in an answer. This is the previous one. So we have just talked about, I'll just write that over here and I'll share this slide with you and OR. So use above to combine different logics together. Right. So now we have just done that one. Now I have a quick question, and it's a I need answer for everyone. Were you able to successfully create this SIS database in your system? I would like to just talk about, because I would be, first of all, what I'll do is that I'll just save this this query file. I'll save this query file with some name, and again I'll just put that as a script of week 2 part 1. So this is part 1. We'll have one more part, and I will save it. I'll just share it with you in your course shell as well. Yes. So how many of you are able to store, able to create the database? Please let me know. I would like to know about that one. And lectures, and here I would write codes. I'll just save the codes and lectures as well. So you'll get everything. Week 2 part 1. Okay, no problems. So now, yes, were you able to create SIS database in your machine? I just wanted to know this answer. So I've saved this file and now I'm closing this. I'll share this with you. Don't worry. So now if I ask you that, did you guys were able to just work with able to store this, able to create this SIS database? Yeah, anyone? It has a lots of tables, lot of database. How many of you were able to create SIS? Can you write a chat, write yes in the chat window? Look, it has a country database and a country table. There is a lots of countries over here. And we have been selecting everything from here, and you can, you can select, something from here. So for example, you can say select name from country. Rather, let's say select distinct name from country. For example, let's say that select the distinct name from the country. You'll say all those distinct name will appear, whatever the name distinct names are there. So how many records are there? 246 rows. And if I just, maybe these are all the unique one. Uh, let's say, first of all, static from the country. Let's select everything from the country. I have got name, alpha 2 code, French name. There is French name as well. So there might not be a repetition of that one, but anyhow, we'll just, we can just run that one. So anyhow, what are, I was asking a question. How many of you were able to download this, able to create this SIS database? So Ruben, alter the SIS set compatibility level 120. Oh, what's that problem, Ruben? Can you share your screen and I can just have a look at that one? But I'm asking everyone, Ruben, I'll come to you. Just to hold on. I need everyone to response. Do you have SIS database installed in your machine? Why, Mansi? Why don't you have that one? Why not? Why not, Deepinder? Why not, Manisha? Why don't you have? Did you find that over there in the lecture last week? I'm asking a question. No reply. And how about the others? Mansi has said no. Deepinder says no. Manisha says no. How about others? I would like to have Jatinder no. Okay. So Jatinder, did you see? Were you able to see the last week's lecture? I think no. That's why you were not able to just, maybe do that. All right. So now let's see that. If you go to your course shell, let me go to your course shell. In the course shell, you will find something interesting in the course shell. You will find in week 1. Do you see that? Okay. In the databases, go to databases. You will find this create SIS database. Are you getting that one? I'm just giving this as a task for you right now. Open that one. This is a SQL file. And open my last week's lecture. And you have to install or you have to run this database and you have to have this database into your machine. You'll have to look into my lecture and just install that one. If you already have installed, those who are looking at the recording, if you already have database over there, I will be just asking some questions. So now what you have to do, just listen everyone. I'm just writing that over here, and rather I should write that in our query file that I had. I'll open that query file that we were working on, and I'll show you where is that right now. And I'll share that. I'll share that with you, by the way. Don't worry. This one, Spring 2024 codes. I'll open this file, and please listen to this one. So I'll write comment over here. If you don't have SIS database, do create it by following instructions from last week's video. You got my point? Last week video. Use that. And after that, when you are done with that one, write 25 queries from above discussion. So again, that's why I'm writing in this file, because above discussion, what we have done. So from the different tables, you will have all these tables with you. You can play with all those tables. You have write 25 queries from above discussion to practice most of the discussed items. Did you guys get the question? I'm saving it over here, and I'll share it with week 2 folder with you guys. But you have to just do that. And not only that, I'm mentioning it over here. I'm opening it as a little assignment or practice question for today, practice questions for today, so that you guys can do that. Let me just see that. Like, you have to submit that, by the way, you'll be submitting that. So week 2. So week 2 has some other things as well. For the time being, I'm hiding them from you. And I'm just mentioning what we have discussed. I'll upload both of them. So again, I'm hiding some of the previous component from that one. Now I'm uploading some files over here. The first file that I'll upload is that lecture file, lecture 2. And the second one is the SQL file that we have worked on, right? So I'll first of all do that. So my computer, upload. And let's go to Conestoga. And let's go to Conestoga courses, and then spring 2024. And look at that. First of all, I'm uploading the lecture 2. And then I'm uploading the code for today. Did you guys get it? You will have both of these two things now coming up. Can you please let me know? Are you able to see that? You have databases, go to this SIS, and again, you'll have to just, follow the instructions from the last one. And now you have to do what? You have to write 25 queries over there, as I've just mentioned there. I have 25 queries over there, and that would give you a practice of that one. And now, as I said, I will be opening up a little assignment for today as well. And this has to be submitted for a practice question. So new assignment, there is no assignment right now. So I'll call it practice May 15. And I would check it, it's ungraded assignment, and the due date is today, and it should be submitted before 4 p.m. It's yes, so before 4 p.m. Again, I would like to. So here is the description of that one. Right. And I've just mentioned that you have to download the database, but the queries should represent most of the concepts that we have discussed today, right? And you have to do that right now. I'll take a break now. And in this break, it will be a like 10 to 15 minutes break. And then the practice time for you guys, you'll practice that one. And then once you're done, what we'll do is that I will continue with the lecture. I have to discuss a few more things over here. And I need every one of you, and this will be attendance for today. Before 4 p.m. you have to submit that. Is that making sense to everyone? And I have just mentioned that over here. You can just have a look at those, and database is also there. Can I have a yes in the chat window? Those practice May 15. So these 18, 19 people who are here, they need to submit that. Those who are not here looking at the recording, they will have to talk to me. How would they send to me, right? So right now, just you have to do that. Can I have a yes in the chat window? This is the most dead group that I have always taught. I'm not receiving any messages, Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you very much, Arun. Right, so I will be now. Let's take a break of. I'll take a break of, as I said, 10 to 15 minutes break. I'll be back after 15 minutes, but I would give you some time for this practice questions after that, because I would be happy if you can submit that before our class time, before 4 p.m. by the way. And I'll have a discussion by the way. So try to do it right after the break so that we can have some other discussions also for today. So now I'm taking a break. I'm stopping sharing. It's 2:20 right now. So I'll be back at 2:35 after 15 minutes. And then we'll just do these practice questions over there. And I'm stopping recording because, I'll make two files for no worries. Stop recording.